The Creator of the Year award goes to Isaac, the Creator.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Anytime your calendar resets, it presents with endless opportunities in your career, ministry, relationships, etc. You feel to plan. But here's the thing, not everyone that dreams enters into the reality. Here are 3 mindsets I'm starting the year with as a Christian creative. The first mindset I'm focusing on in 2025 is vision. What's worse than being stagnant? Going really, really fast in the wrong direction. You see, as great as momentum is, direction is even better. It's better to start your year having a direction of where you are going, knowing that, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what God is telling me to do concerning the year. I'm starting the year with a word from the Lord, and I believe every creative Christian should do so as well. It's important to think of creativity through the lens of purpose, meaning that it's not just about the ability to create, but it's about the purpose for which you're creating. Like, what is the end? What change do you want to cause in the world? Right? As Christians, we are not just called to live purposeless lives. We are made with intent. The reason why we were made was because there's a specific purpose, there's a specific thing you are meant to do on the earth, right? We're on assignment. So how can our creativity be a tool for the accomplishment of that our purpose? Here's an analogy. Imagine you were a caveman and you had never seen a chair before, and then you stumbled across a chair. Now, at first you might not know the purpose of the chair, right? You're like, is it for hammering trees or something? But then if you were to find out the purpose of that chair, would you ask the chair or would you ask the person that made the chair? I'm saying this to the end that when we're trying to discover purpose and vision, we are not meant to look inward, we're meant to look upward. The second mindset I'm going into 2025 with is setting structures, because if you have a vision but you don't have structures in place to accomplish that vision just remains in your head. It doesn't translate to actual results. And the first way I'm doing this is by taking that broad vision and translating it into specific goals, right? So goals that are measurable. I don't know if you've heard of the SMART goal framework. Goals that are specific, goals that are measurable, goals that are achievable, goals that are realistic, and goals that are time bound. But for me, the most important part of that framework is S, M, and T. Goals that are specific, measurable, and time bound. Setting goals that are specific means instead of saying I want to do better on YouTube, I want to grow on YouTube, can it be a specific thing? For me, my goal is that I want to post 1 video weekly for the first quarter of 2025. That is specific. Now I know what exactly I need to do, so I can think about how to get there. Secondly, it should be measurable, right? Let me use another example. I want to pray 3 times more than last year, right? Last year, I prayed 1 hour every day, right? And 3 times more means I want to pray 3 hours, right? Maybe 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, 1 in the afternoon. So what does that mean? That means I can empirically measure it. It has a number to it, so I know exactly how to measure it. If I say I want to pray more, you can't particularly measure it. Thirdly, it should be time bound, right? You should have a deadline. Oh, by June in this year, I want to buy a car. As a goal, right? So then you can break it down. What does it mean to buy a car? So you can work towards it. So okay, in January I have to make so amounts in my business. It now translates to other micro goals. From a Christian perspective, there's one thing to keep in mind while setting goals, right? Because the vision is God-given, translating it into goals, we need to do it prayerfully. We need to do it as helped by the Spirit of God, because we do not know the future, right? It's the Spirit of God that leads us into a future that He has orchestrated for us. Have you ever had a friend that traveled abroad and then in less than 3 months they already have an accent? That's because the environment they are in has a very huge influence on their outcomes. We can bring this into our context when you have an environment that supports your vision. For example, you want to shoot more videos. Why don't you make your room aesthetic so that you can shoot anytime, anywhere without having to do massive setup? Why don't you set your lights up and keep them up there permanently? Why don't you have friends that are also creative so that they are inspiring you, right? How can you create an environment that supports your vision? So friends, to your physical location, to, even down to your schedule, right? Everything should incubate that your vision. One of the most important mindsets I'm going into 2025 with is having a bias for execution, right? Enough of having butterfly brain, right? Having so many cool ideas and they're just floating in your head without tangible results. Have a bias for execution. I want to go from ideation to execution as quickly and seamlessly as possible. So that's why setting structures, as we spoke about, is important, because it makes that transition easy, right? So I want to be able to think of an idea today and have it out in the next few days, right? Because one thing with ideas is that over time they can expire. You can lose momentum for an idea. So have an idea, execute. Once you've gotten into the habit of quick execution, the next mindset to have is iterating as you go. What does it mean to iterate? To make changes, to make adjustments, right? Just like a sailor will be sailing a ship and they have to make micro adjustments so that they stay on course, right? Because one thing you don't want to do is to keep on doing the same thing that are not yielding results for a long time, right? As good as consistency is, you have to make small changes every time and make progress as you go. Now, I know I've spoken about planning a lot, but there's a balance, because one thing that has gotten me stuck in this cycle for years is trying to get the perfect template in my head before I do anything. And that makes me linger and linger. I've had this camera for so long, but I've barely created any videos with the camera. That's because I'm always worrying, what should I create? How should I do it? What should I do it? Am I doing the right thing? As much as planning is good, sometimes it's important to get going first before you get good, then you get smart. Do you understand? So you get going, you figure it out as you go, right? Get a bearing, get a direction as inspired by the Holy Spirit, and move whether or not the whole picture is not as clear. Move, get going. Once you get going, you start to experience it. There are some things you can't conclude in your head. You have to experience them. You get it? So that's one framework I'm going with. So get going, then get good, then get smart. Thank you. Well, 2025 remains a year of unprecedented opportunity. My strategy remains to dream big, but to take incremental steps every day to get to my vision. The future is for the dreamer, but the doer brings the future closer. Thank you.